A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. I'm Ritwika Gupta and you're watching our Festive Special Edition. Today the spotlight is on India's real estate sector. What's the outlook and festive season sentiment? Decoding all that in a conversation with Boman Irani, Chairman and Managing Director, Rustomjee Group. Welcome to ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow. It's a pleasure to be chatting with you as always.
Thank you, Ritwika.
So I want to open up with the hot topic of the day. The recent GST reforms appear to have given a boost to the real estate sector. Tell me, how do you see this momentum shaping up for businesses in the real estate industry as well as for home buyers? How do you think that's going to impact them?
First of all, thanks for having me on the show. And I must say, we're at probably the best time, in terms of the way the government is thinking about businesses and business and the people. And we've finally understood and we've kind of woken up to the power of our population, our people. And towards that, the government has taken this very pragmatic step of kind of reducing the slabs on almost every item that everyday users use. And we are fortunate that even the real estate has kind of, been taken into consideration by dropping cement from 28 to 18%. They've just simplified the entire thing. They've kind of reduced the number of slabs, they've taken cess out. The complexity is out, and that's what I love the most. The idea is to give industry a lot more to do, create employment, at the same point of time, reduce the implication of the government burden on the taxation of these. So if I were to say, what have they done? They've simplified the tax structure. They've gone ahead and reduced slabs on items that are important and day-to-day use. All this directly affects the pocket of my consumer. And when the consumer feels happy, he goes out and buys. I was sitting with a credit card company the other day. Someone who's operating credit cards for the bank, and he told me that they hit 14,000 transactions per minute or per second, I'm not sure, which is the max that they can do.
Right.
And this started on the 22nd night. So, the timing was so perfect. And over here, I'd like to say that we've seen a tremendous upswing in the number of inquiries that have started. But Navratra being all that pent-up demand of the 10, 15 days, GST hitting at the right point, everybody's super excited. And I think the market feels so good that we're going to see a huge upswing, given that after Navratri, we've got Dasara, then we've got Diwali. And again, these are the seasons when people are going out and buying things of value and a home.
Yeah.
I think the home buyer has suddenly realized that this is probably a great time to go out there and put his money into real estate. And I think the real need of the people, and I've been saying this forever, the real need of the people is to kind of constantly upgrade their life and lifestyle. And they're all moving towards that. And this is probably the best time for it.
Fantastic. Just picking up from what you said, this is the festive season.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, the festive season is a sentiment driver for home buyers. Tell me, how are you gearing up for this particular season? What sort of buyer traction are you seeing this time?
So fantastic. Thanks for asking that. Look, we at Rustomjee are always focused on our consumer, right? This season, especially this entire quarter starting from Ganpati festival, which was huge in Mumbai and Maharashtra, and now growing traction across the country, has been a great driver of business. After that, we had 15 days or 10 days or 12 days of Shraddh, which kind of kept the market subdued.
Sure.
But now with Navratra, we've seen, like I told you, on the 22nd, 23rd weekdays, which normally people just come and if they've got the time, they come. So we have very low walk-ins. These last 3 days, I must tell you, have been phenomenal. And so obviously we are gearing up at the back end and trying to put more projects on the floor. And overall, we've seen a good amount of actual consumers who are sitting even on the fence, suddenly jumping over on this side. Inquiries have increased. I can tell you across industries, because we interact with so many people. Across industries, there's been a huge surge. So we're having, I think it is probably a great time to expand.
Fantastic. I also want to talk about Maharashtra's new housing policy. It's a 70,000 crore opportunity. I want to know from you, where are the significant gains for industry players and as well as for the smaller, businesses in the real estate value chain? Where do you think they should keep an eye out for, for in terms of how they can leverage this opportunity?
That is so interesting, because I've always said Maharashtra has been at the forefront of almost every good policy that our country kind of then follows, right?
Yeah.
And I must say, masterstroke, the government has, brought in the new housing policy, which actually focuses on the end user or the person who needs the kind of housing. Just to throw some numbers at you, we're talking of 35 lakh EWS LIG housing. You and I all know that this is the largest part of the segment, and maybe private developers aren't being able to supply it. So the policy is aimed to make these 35 lakh homes available by 2030 and maybe 50 lakh homes available by 2045. The second thing I've seen is they've focused on things like student housing because they've realized that students are now traveling. They've made women's hostels, and a very pragmatic move. And I must say that India is recognizing the need of the people by going ahead and promoting senior living in a very large way. And I must tell you that at Rustomjee, we are exploring all three segments. We're looking at our townships having senior living coming in over there. They're also very strongly promoting integrated township policy. Right. And again, we at Rustomjee have been doing integrated townships for the last so many years, and we've seen great success with it. And with that, business opportunities open up. And since you've asked me the question, what should the entire value chain do? I think move towards these. There are two ways that we can gain. One is we can supply this market. Two is we can become operators for this market. And when I say operators for this market, imagine a senior living home, right? It's not just bricks and mortar that you build and then hand over the keys. You got to take care of them. You got to create, facilities for them that are taken care of. The government has also moved very strongly towards development and every aspect of it. Overall, I'm very excited. I'm thrilled, I must say. And so is my team. We are all working towards making sure that every policy that is there in the interest of long-term betterment of our state, our country, will be to its fullest explored or to its fullest studied, and then kind of we will work towards creating more and more. So I've said this before and I'll say it again. Before this financial year comes to an end, we at Rustomjee would have announced a senior living for sure, and then the other two also as well. Fantastic. So overall, I think great times. Real estate industry, which is the driver of our economy, 235 other businesses, directly, indirectly rely on us. We're the second largest creator of jobs in terms of class 3 and class 4 labor. If there's a cohesive working between the industry and providing for the people, it's only going to be a win-win-win all the way. And I'm pretty personally very excited about it.
What's your take on technology and specifically prop tech and how that's reshaping the real estate industry?
If you took me back 7, 8, 9 years and I'm having this conversation, you wouldn't even ask this question. But today, it's hitting you everywhere, right? Yeah. Everything from simple online registration processes that are convenient for you. Imagine no longer having to go to a registration office, standing in a line,
Right. Yeah.
All of that stuff is out. Second, the way we kind of source our data, the way we kind of reach out to our consumers, the way we kind of go ahead and put across what really is being done. In terms of simple as a VRV, you can actually see the home without actually putting it up over there. Right. Mumbai, for instance, has a huge space constraint. When I'm developing a building like this, I don't have the space to go ahead and put up a sample flat. But if I was to be able to take people through a 2D or a 3D kind of an experience and kind of take them through everything that the home would have, and they'd be able to see it as it is. So it's become very simple for us to communicate with the consumer. Third is even our reach, the way we are going about with reaching a consumer, the way we are studying the buying pattern, the way we understand which consumer is going to be for what kind of product, and we are able to guide them. Our sales teams are called asset specialists nowadays. If you walk into our homes or you want to walk in to buy a home, they will first listen to you, they'll understand from you, and they're only able to do this when the data is meticulously captured and some, at the background, AI is working on everything else about you. Now, if I can actually guide you, like when we are on a Google app and looking up something and we're talking about something and we're looking up some particular content, you see more and more of that content coming. Likewise, real estate can also do the same. And I think data has been around forever. It is only now that we are channelizing that data, putting it into boxes or segments, or bringing it out to where it belongs or to where it could be used. And all of these things are still, I would say, at such a nascent stage. Come in time, we can all be, those of us that will not really keep absolute vigil on what really needs to be done with regards to prop tech and technology will actually get wiped out. Today, with the kind of data that we have and with the kind of drawings that we are able to put out there, we actually know down to the, I can tell you down to the last square foot as to the material requirements. I can tell you down to the last square foot, given today's cost structure, what exactly it will be. I can tell you that there will be no rework in your buildings, because first time right itself you'll get it. Earlier you had 2D drawings and you had to kind of match everything out. You had a dozen consultants that sat down together. Today the dozen consultants are still working. They are definitely working, but they're working with the data and integrating with each other. So the architect is talking to the MEP guy who's talking to the contractor, and everything is available. And more importantly, in time to come, you will see that most of these middle positions will not be there. So people who actually work with their hands and people who actually work with their heads. These are the two that will really be talking to each other through the technology pipeline. What that will do for my consumer, it will give him a product that is far beyond today's ability amongst all of us. So this technology, the technology of being able to kind of make the most of the asset there is, the kind of technology to be able to reach out to you, communicate with you, show you what is happening, is all still in such a nascent stage. I'm saying if we were talking now in, I would say 2028, I'd be having a whole new slew of things that I'd be talking to you about.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. You're tuning in to our festive special episode. In conversation tonight with Boman Irani, Chairman and Managing Director, Rustomjee Group. Speaking of technology, it's amazing what technology has been doing, but I also read that now you can buy a property in under 10 minutes. I want to know what's your take on that. Why would someone want to buy a property in under 10 minutes? But is this going to be really a game changer which real estate players need to look at closely, or is it just a passing fad?
Answer me this, right? When you go and buy a phone, right? You are more or less just aware of what the model is. You're believing, you're expecting to get everything that the pamphlet or the brochure or the advertisement has told you about, right? And you're going and buying a phone. You're not really opening it up out there, looking at it, etc. You're just buying it.
Yeah.
This has come primarily, I would say, this is the convenience that we need to put into real estate, and it has come largely with RERA. Today, with RERA being the ombudsman, you have a belief, a faith that what the developers are all falling in line. Today, a developer has to tell a consumer when the consumer goes and registers their apartment, which is the car parking they're going to have, right? It puts so much peace into the minds of the consumer. The consumer is aware on day one what exactly the consumer is buying, every rupee where it is going. Today, my financial data, my development plans, my approvals, my pace of work, my construction updates, everything is being put online for you to visualize. This makes it very convenient for you to go out and buy a home. Now, the only thing you're thinking is this location good for me? Is this home the right size for me? More convenience is coming. Developers will themselves, and today, you must be seeing a lot of advertisements where developers are giving some kind of an idea on what kind of rentals can be got, what kind of assured returns can be got, etc., etc. I think in time to come, we'll be able to kind of even give you the convenience that, you could have a home, and maybe we'd just buy it back from you after you want to move on. Let's say you want to move on. I'm saying the convenience that I offer you as a consumer will make me a better company to go to as a consumer to buy. Our teams are constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly serving, and are growing in the mindset of consumer first. And every convenience that's available for the consumer or should be available for the consumer is what's being done. We like to delight our consumers. We like to constantly bring new things to the fore. And whether that's technology, whether that's design, whether that's materials, everything should form the package. And you have to make it absolutely easy for a consumer to put his money in. This has changed the business. If you see before 2017, people were a lot wary. They'd say, okay, we'll go and buy a home that's only ready. Today, at launch, don't get me wrong, at launch, you sell 30 to 40% of your stock. Wow. How do you think that happens? Because the consumer is looking at convenience of price, better price, entry point. You will not have even the margins of error. We are becoming more and more stringent on even margins of error. So if we say we'll give you black flooring, it will be black. To that extent, there are no changes. So things are thought through, things are decided, things are executed, and you have a particular timeline in which you're going to get the home. You've seen that in the last few years, developers have started giving, on time or before time, and we're constantly improving our timelines. I think the consumer is going to be it's going to be so easy for the consumer to decide whether they want to invest in real estate or gold or shares, and everything's going to have the same level of convenience. Everything's going to have the same level of, comfort, and that will kind of change our industry. It's changing and it'll change our industry forever.
Fantastic. The theme for our show this season is Agility, Ambition, Ascent. This is set against the backdrop of macroeconomic volatility, all that's happening around the world, rising tariffs. So by way of advice to entrepreneurs who are watching the show today, what would you like to tell, especially players in the real estate sector, how they can navigate risks, and stay agile?
What I have is a few points of view. Not only in real estate, in any business, right? When you want to reach the top, you've got to be focused, you've got to have a goal in mind. Once that goal is set, then you've got to kind of work towards it. You cannot, how do I say this to you? You've got to be nimble in the way of achieving the goal, but you cannot deviate every single time or get swayed or get taken away from your target. Look, this is a world of financial prudence, right? Learn where to allocate your capital. Sure. You try and keep the your consumers' money or your investors' money at the lowest possible risk, and possibly work towards giving them consistent, good returns. I would say people in business value you for how long you've been able to kind of maintain a consistent streak, rather than giving you some kind of jagged returns, etc. And with the amount of change that is happening, and with change being at the pace it is, you better have strategies in place. You better have your teams in place who are kind of constantly advising you. You better keep an eye on your business at all points of time, but also keep a very good reach on every other business and the impact of government policies. You mentioned ambition. Your ambition should be to be the best, not to be the highest grosser, etc., etc. Your goal should be to serve your consumer. Work towards constantly improving your knowledge quotient, whether it is on the finance side, especially in real estate, design side, policy side. And I can tell you, when we started this business, it was data gathered from peers and just talking to people, talking to our brokers, and asking them what is a consumer preference, etc. Today there are enough and more studies that are being done on a regular basis. You can reach out to any of the knowledge providers, and they'll give you voluminous reads to kind of take care of. Sure. Now identify what you have to get out of that particular reading that you do, and that is where success and failure is defined. But the last bit, never ever sacrifice the long term for short term. Short term is just the way to achieve that long term goal. Do not disturb the long term goal for the short term goal.
You mentioned policy. I just want to, pick your brains on that a little bit. What's that one structural change you'd like to see, that you think will have an impact on India's real estate sector, overall?
There will be lesser and lesser providers of more and more. When I say that, I mean that, you'll not have to go from pillar to post for everything. Like I mentioned to you, a very simple thing, like I might in 5 years tell you that Ritika, when you buy a home with us, whenever you're ready to sell, whatever's the market rate, you don't have to run around trying to sell it. I'll buy it back from you. I need to create that convenience. So if you're asking me what is the change I see, I can tell you we will go from becoming a product company to a services company. We will become, I presume at some point of time, we will become your port of call for everything, and we already are. Today, my consumers, actually ask me who's the interior designer to go for, what kind of lighting should I do in my house, where do I get, the best fittings, etc., at the best price. We are becoming more and more a service provider to our consumer. The future will be where, and we at Rustomjee are definitely banking on it, where our consumer, once with us, will continue with us, right? And they will continue with us, for which we will have to also take care of all their needs. At some point in time, I see Rustomjee as a company that not only provides homes, hopefully across various markets, but also goes and provides you tomorrow for student accommodation, wherever in the world your children want to go. When you talk of retirement, you come back to our community and we are able to kind of take care of you at that point of time. I can tell you every team member at Rustomjee is absolutely, got it in his crosshairs how to continually interact or grow our relationship with our consumers and continually provide for every need of theirs. So that is what I see happening in the future.
And finally, tell us, what are the growth priorities for Rustomjee in the coming year?
At Rustomjee, we are growing at about 36% CAGR in a market that's growing at 11% CAGR. We will be 30 next year, and I must say, all our learnings have been kind of put into an SOP, allowing us to kind of do more. And the vision set for the entire company is to be able to do what you do well, at the same point of time keep growing. Our structures are changing. We are getting in a lot more professionals to kind of lead exercises. I can tell you last year we did about 3,000 plus crores. This year our guidance is 4,000 plus crores. We've already done the first quarter, which is generally the weakest quarter. We've already done 25% plus of that. In terms of launches, we did about 5,000 crores last year. This year our launch is going to be 7,000 crores. So as a company, I think we are definitely on the growth path in a market that is extremely robust and strong. I answer to a whole bunch of investors and I value their money, and I kind of make sure that they're fully aware of everything that the company is doing is with the long-term vision, and we are making sure that the investor is aware that our returns are going to be far greater than at least everybody else in the competition, and we aim to be one of those companies that will continually provide more and more. Like I told you, we're entering new markets in terms of the product types that we will give out. So senior living is something before the end of this year you'll hear an announcement from us. We're studying them. Commercial has suddenly become a big part of our growth portfolio, and we're doing projects which we've done social commercial in the past, schools, hospitals, etc. Now we are also going into hardcore commercial development with developments in areas as upmarket as Bandra, and then we're looking at markets like Thane, where the growth is going to be phenomenal. The product that we can give at the price that the consumer wants, in a continuously steady state pattern with a few growth hubs, that is the future of Rustomjee.
Well, more power to you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us.
I look forward to seeing you again and giving you updates year on year. It's always a pleasure interacting with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Wishing all our viewers a very happy festive season. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.